And welcome to a singular presented American Scouser TV Reditorial post-match after the Arsenal and Liverpool game at the Emirates. 2-2 to much chagrin, as they said in the old days, from Liverpool fans. Not a very, very good game from Liverpool in large parts. We did dominate some possession, but also conceded a lot of possession, especially in the first half to Arsenal. First goal from Arsenal from a set piece that we should have probably looked at and should have, our scouts should have maybe had a plan for. And then perhaps looking at the way we couldn't win the midfield battle, with a midfield that should have been a little bit more, shall we say, proactive in winning the ball back. We seem to sit off them a lot. A goal from Saka to start it off, but then an equaliser from Van Dijk from what was being called a well-worked corner, but I'm not entirely sure how planned it was, but definitely was a good delivery in and a nice header to get us back on track. But then Marino with the goal to take Arsenal ahead back to 2-1. And again, not dealing with how they work on their crosses, a situation that you would hope our highly paid coaching staff had identified their dangers for Arsenal and against what our weaknesses were. And then finally, we get a goal by Salah from a nice little layoff from Nunez, who I don't think had the best game. A lot of people seem to disagree with that, especially given that we hadn't got much of the ball, but it was a very good delivery in the end, and Salah puts it 2-2, and then chances to win it near the end. But I think given the overall performance, that 2-2 is probably a fair score to reflect the various periods of domination in the game. I think a complaint you could have is that at points Arsenal had not got their first choice back line, so maybe we should have threatened them a lot more. The midfield was clearly not working, and Robertson was clearly having issues against Saka in the first half, and maybe some sort of change needed to be made there. In midfield, I don't know whether it was a case of Gravenberch being invisible or whether he was doing the quiet work, but Jones certainly I don't think was as effective as we would expect him to be. McAllister may be the best of the three of them, but even still a little bit blunted, and there was a tangible difference when Szoboszlai got on in terms of the industry in the midfield. As the game wore on, though, we started to make a few more mistakes. That sort of tappy passing football is it has its time and its place, but sometimes you do want to just get the ball and just go forward and see what the other team are made of, and that's maybe something we should have looked at instead of using Kelleher a lot more than we needed to. And there were periods when Arsenal were on the ropes and when the momentum had clearly shifted back to us. And those are the moments when you should put a team under the cosh a little bit, and we didn't. We kind of let them out of jail at times with our passing and our possession. But Tsimikas did a good job when he came on. A little bit of controversy at the end with the corner stroke, non-corner for Arsenal, but I don't think it would have made a difference. I think at that point, both teams were just worried more about not conceding the winning goal for the opposition. So I don't think they would have committed too many people forward. But overall, just a very stilted performance. In the Discord comments, one of the comments was that, this is a chance to see what Arne Slot is made of, whether he can come back from being behind in the game so early on. And he did that. We did that twice. So he clearly could recognize a few things and shifted a few things to kind of gain some momentum back for Liverpool. But overall, probably not the best game we've played this season. But we took 2 points off Arsenal, and it doesn't put us in any better shape in terms of City, but there's a lot more football to be played not against them directly, but in competition with them. And there are clear, let's say, minor flaws in City's game that we've seen over the past few weeks that may catch them out as the days go on. And all we have to do is make sure we're keeping pace with them, which we certainly are with today's result. Have a look at the stats. A fairly even game all round. Shots on target, we just edged. Shots off target, they just edged. Possession, it ebbed and flowed. The overall possession looks like we had more of the game. But if you take it by half and then even by 15-minute periods, it was one team in front and then the other team in front, and then the other team. It was really a game of momentum and changing momentum. Goalkeeper saves, I don't know why that one is that weird, but Kelleher had to pull off some saves as we thought he would, and he did that with a palm. But corner kicks was the weird one. One corner kick for Arsenal, and it came very, very late in the game. It just shows how tight that game was in midfield. Overall, there were periods where we couldn't seem to get the ball off them for love nor money, and maybe in a Klopp era, a hard work in midfield of Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Milner would have not have been dominated so much. We talked about looking for a bit more creativity in the midfield, and how this might be one of the few times that Liverpool actually dominates Arsenal creatively in the midfield. But that's not what happened. What ended up happening was Arsenal had large periods of possession in the midfield, and we looked like we were chasing shadows at times. Whether that was down to the personnel or whether that was down to the tactical system is up for debate, and we will, I'm sure, hear more from Arne Slot on what the plans were afterwards. But suffice to say, it was a more nail-biting game than you would wish to have. But I think 2-2 is probably the best result we could have hoped for. Arsenal may be a little bit more disappointed in not winning that game based on the quality of their momentum. We had momentum, but I don't think we did as much with it as they seemed to do with theirs. But a game that raises more questions than answers is Robbo done now at this point? Should we really be looking at January being a time to bring in a new left back who's younger and faster and more consistent in their speed and in their recovery, defensive recovery? Do we really need a real genuine number 9 in January, or can we get by with an injured Jota and Nunes, who sometimes looks like he knows exactly what he needs to do, and other times looks like he's never played football with this team in his life? And then what do we need in the midfield? Was it just a personnel thing? Is Harvey Elliott the player we were missing today? Do we really need a genuine out-and-out ball-winning number 6 and then leave the creativity to the other players? Or was Gravenberch really doing that silent assassin work in the midfield that was just not as noticeable? And then for all the strengths of Konate in terms of his speed, is he still also prone to a few brain farts now and again with the ball that put us under a little bit of pressure when it shouldn't have had to? And then the big question on Discord, I thought at least, was, is Trent already checking out? It seemed the common consensus was this was his most disinterested looking game in a long time. And maybe his head is already in Real Madrid and he knows exactly what's going to happen. So if that is the case, what do we do with the right back position? Do we stick with Connor Bradley, or do we go for somebody who's a bit more further along in their career and maybe a step above, and then wait for Connor Bradley to develop into the player we know he could be? A lot of questions, but the most important part of the day is we didn't lose. We're still in the hunt, even this early in the for the title race, and we did take 2 points off Arsenal, which they can't get back, obviously, because they don't play us away twice, thankfully. But going forward and coming up to the next international break, which I don't think is too far away, we're in good shape. We're in good spirits. Most wins, one loss, mostly wins rather. One loss, one draw in the league. Sitting pretty in the Champions League, hyper super mega global league thing in that setup, and then in the cups and all that still to come. So we're in good shape with Arne Slot, but today very frustrating. And we would like to know what you think about it. So make sure you're dropping comments in the Facebook and YouTube, and make sure you are following us on all the socials, on the YouTube and on the Facebook and the Instagram, X formerly known as Twitter, and the Patreon for all the extra goodies. But we want to hear what you think. If you want to join the Discord, do that as well. American Scouser TV. It's a real puzzler how we came out of the Chelsea game last week so well, and then come into this game and just start so flat. really needs looking at. Is are the Champions League games taking a toll that we didn't think? Did the Leipzig game really take more of us than we expected, or is it just it's Arsenal, and we always have issues with Arsenal, and we have done for at least since I've started watching Liverpool Football Club more than 40 years ago, almost a half a century of watching Arsenal get it in our way and be the banana skin we don't need them to be. But I think overall, as Liverpool fans, we're probably happier than Arsenal fans would be. But if you know differently, drop us a comment, let us know, and then follow us on all the socials, and then pay attention to all of our weekly schedule. We have our Monday show tomorrow night, a Monday podcast to talk more in depth about the game, and our morning coffee and tea, if that's what you are, a tea drinker, tomorrow morning, and all of the other goodies. So let us know what you think. Drop a like, smash your keyboard, or tap it gently, because that's the thing to do. And then we will see everybody in the comments. Okay, have a good weekend. It wasn't the party atmosphere we would probably hope, but at least we can enjoy a nice piece of toast. Fully in the knowledge that we didn't lose this weekend. Okay, have a good one. Peace out.